Trump's making waves at the Federal Reserve. Says Lisa Cook is fired, but she won't serve his curve. She's standing her ground, won't resign from her post, while lawyers prepare for the legal riposte. Oil markets are sliding as traders take note of Fed turmoil brewing and tensions remote. From Russia's supply lines to markets worldwide, uncertainties flowing like an unstoppable tide. The markets are watching every move that you make. When power meets pushback, what's really at stake? From boardrooms to courtrooms, the battles unfold in a world where the stories are waiting to be told. India's holding steady as tariff threats grow, making overtures to Moscow. Which way will they go? While Japanese deals worth $550 billion face friction with Trump, trade tensions, rebellion, corporal America singing an optimistic song. But Wall Street's got worries that something's gone wrong. Stock valuations climbing to heavenly heights, while economic signals flash warning lights. The markets are watching every move that you make. When power meets pushback, what's really at stake? From boardrooms to courtrooms, the battles unfold in a world where the stories are waiting to be told. Norway's wealth fund says put pillars out over West Bank bulldozers, there's ethical doubt. Nissan shares tumble as Mercedes backs away. Auto supply chains fear Trump's tariff display. Timu's back to shipping from China direct, after trade deals brought some tariff respect. Global connections in a tangled web of politics, profits, and the debts that we owe. From Fed board disputes to global trade wars, every headline opens up new doors to questions of power, money, and trust in a world where change is a definite must. So we keep on watching as the story unfolds in a world where tomorrow's news never gets old.
Good morning and welcome to today's News Roundup. We've got some fascinating developments across global markets and politics that are really shaping the conversation today. Let's start with what's probably the biggest story: President Trump's attempt to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Now, this is unprecedented territory we're walking into here. Trump announced that he found sufficient cause to remove Cook from her position. But here's the kicker: Cook is pushing back hard. She's saying she won't resign, and her legal team is gearing up for what could be a major constitutional battle over presidential authority versus Federal Reserve independence. This kind of direct confrontation between the White House and Fed leadership is exactly the sort of thing that makes markets nervous, and we're already seeing that play out in oil prices, which dropped after a 4-day gain as traders try to figure out what this Fed turmoil means for broader economic policy. Speaking of global tensions, India is taking a really interesting stance as Trump's tariff threats loom large. New Delhi is essentially holding firm and making diplomatic overtures to Moscow, particularly around Russian oil purchases. This is a fascinating geopolitical chess game. India is basically saying they won't be pushed around on trade, even as they face potential punitive tariffs. Meanwhile, we're seeing some real friction even with countries that have trade deals with the U.S. Take Japan, for example. There's this massive $550 billion investment package that's supposed to be flowing from Japan to the U.S. But there are already disputes over the terms and how Trump wants to direct that investment. It really highlights how trade relationships are getting more complicated, not simpler. On the corporate front, we're seeing some interesting contradictions. Corporate America is generally striking a pretty optimistic tone. Companies are reporting decent earnings and expressing confidence about their prospects. But Wall Street is getting increasingly anxious about stock market valuations that might be getting a bit frothy, and there are growing concerns about economic slowdown signals. It's like we've got this disconnect between Main Street confidence and Wall Street worry. Then, there's this fascinating story out of Norway, where their massive $2 trillion sovereign wealth fund has decided to exclude Caterpillar from their investments. The reason? Israel's use of Caterpillar bulldozers to destroy Palestinian property in Gaza and the West Bank. This is exactly the kind of ESG investing decision that shows how geopolitical conflicts are increasingly affecting corporate bottom lines in unexpected ways. The auto industry is feeling some heat too. Nissan shares took a hit after news that Mercedes-Benz's pension trust is offloading its stake in the troubled Japanese automaker. And more broadly, there's growing concern about how Trump's tariff policies could really damage the global auto supply chain, particularly affecting smaller parts companies in Japan, South Korea, and Germany that employ hundreds of thousands of people. On a lighter note, there's actually some good news for Chinese e-commerce platform Temu. They've resumed direct shipping from China to the U.S. after what they're calling a Trump truce. This comes after some tentative trade deals that have reduced tariffs on Chinese goods, and Temu is already stepping up their U.S. advertising in response. What's really striking about today's news is how interconnected everything is. A Fed board dispute affects oil markets. Trade tensions with one country influence relationships with allies, and corporate decisions in one industry ripple through global supply chains. It's a reminder of just how complex and interdependent our global economy has become, and how political decisions can have far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond their immediate scope.